Chapter 31. Riken's Pav. As I stepped through the dimensional portal hidden within those ornate doors, a familiar thrill coursed through my slime form, a rush of spatial magic bending reality like a whisper of wind through the void. It was fascinating, this seamless transportation to Guy Crimson's prepared dimension, a secluded realm where only the invited demon lords could tread. Secrecy was our armor, and this banquet, the Walpurgis, was the stage for the world's true dominators. I arrived last, it seemed, my senses immediately sharpening as I scanned the gathering. There was Clayman, clad in an impeccably tailored white suit, cradling a small fox in his arms that had to be the thumb finger, 9 heads, based on what Majoran had briefed me about. His voice echoed with false grandeur, "Thank you for answering my invitation, everyone. It's been a while since we gathered here. So let us begin our Walpurgis banquet." The assembly was a pantheon of power, each figure radiating an aura that could crush lesser beings. Guy Crimson, the demon lord of darkness, lounged with an air of eternal supremacy, his crimson eyes flickering like dying stars. Milam Nava, the dragonoid destroyer, fidgeted with barely contained energy, her presence a storm waiting to unleash. Ramirez, the pixie of the labyrinth, hovered playfully, her tiny form belying her ancient wisdom. Diablo, the demon duke of eternal night, sat with poised elegance, his demonic essence a shadow that whispered promises of oblivion. Dino, the fallen sleeping ruler, slumbered indifferently. Dagruel, the giant earthquake, exuded raw, seismic might. Roy Valentine, the vampire bloody lord, observed with predatory calm, with 2 maids by his side, one with heterochromatic gold-silver mystic eyes and the other wearing a mask. Frey, the harpy sky queen, perched with avian grace. Clayman himself, the Deathman marionette master, smirked like a puppet pulling his own strings. Leon Cromwell, the demonoid platinum devil, maintained his stoic facade. And then there was the special guest, Veldora Tempest, the true dragon storm dragon, his draconic aura a tempest of raw elemental fury. This world might bow to demon lords, but it was forged by dragons, and Veldora's presence reminded us all of that unyielding truth. Finally, there was me, Riken Tempest, the slime ruler of the Jura Tempest Federation, accompanied by my subordinate, the demonoid Noah. My form, unassuming yet brimming with absorbed power, felt the weight of every gaze upon me. This Walpurgis had begun, and I could feel the undercurrents of intrigue pulling like invisible threads. Clayman rose from his seat, his satisfaction oozing like venom from a serpent's fangs. He glanced around the table, transforming the chamber into his personal theater. With smug eloquence, he launched into his diatribe, his words formal and bloated, stretching like shadows in the dim light. The allegations poured forth, each one a calculated strike meant to dismantle my rise. First, he accused Demon Lord Carrion of instigating my proclamation as a demon lord, citing the Beastmaster's brigade in Tempest as irrefutable proof. My blood or whatever passed for it in my slime body boiled at the audacity. Chronologically, it was nonsense, a tangled web of lies, but proving it here, in this den of predators, would require precision. He pressed on. I had supposedly tempted Falmouth into attacking the Great Jura Forest, using it as a pretext to slaughter humans. Then, with Carrion's shadowy backing, I'd defeated the kingdom and claimed my demonic throne. Carrion's actions, he claimed, violated the sacred pacts among demon lords. But Clayman wasn't done. His voice trembled with feigned grief. My subordinate, Majoran, who informed me of this treachery, has been murdered. By that Majin named Riken. That's why I have decided to avenge her. What a performance. It was award-worthy, his handsome features twisted into a mask of sorrow, his posture impeccable, like a marble statue begging for admiration. I felt a surge of revulsion, an urge to shatter that facade with a metaphorical sledgehammer. He continued, claiming Carrion and I had plotted his assassination, and that Majoran had relayed the truth via thought communication in her dying moments. Yeah, because Carrion's such a scheming mastermind, I thought, a bitter laugh bubbling inside me. Annoyance clawed at my core, but there was hilarity in his overconfidence. Carrion was no fool, but a genius puppeteer. Hardly. Lycanthropes were warriors, proud and direct, Carrion especially, with his renowned integrity. Clayman, the so-called marionette master, should know better than to project his own deceit onto others. He rambled on about Carrion's betrayal, his voice rising in theatrical rage. Then, as if on cue, he turned to Milam. Isn't that right, Milam? You destroyed Eurazania and buried Carrion in the rubble. Sure, that happened, she replied flatly, but her eyes weren't on him. They fixed on Noah with a wolfish intensity, predatory and unnerving, like a hunter sizing up elusive prey. It sent a chill through me, but I pushed it aside, focusing on the seething hatred building for Clayman. Oh, the torments I'd inflict if I got my hands on him, I seethed inwardly. Clayman wrapped up with pompous finality. With that, I conclude my testimony. Now that we know the story from start to finish, I propose that we kill this despicable slime for daring to conspire and proclaim himself a demon lord. The other demon lords listened with varying degrees of patience. Dino snored softly, Romulus flipped through her manga. But the air thickened with tension, the room's ethereal glow casting long shadows that mirrored the growing storm. Rain, one of Guy's attendants, announced, "We will now listen to testimony from our guest." Clayman retreated to his seat, smug as ever. I rose, my slime form shifting subtly, projecting calm authority. The eyes of these titans bored into me, but I met them with unyielding resolve. This was my moment to unravel his web. "You are Clayman, right?" I said, my voice cold yet polite, laced with disdain. "I admit, your performance was great. You should have pursued a career as a court jester instead of a demon lord." The insult landed like a thunderclap. "What did you say, you mere slime?" he bellowed, his composure cracking for the first time. "I have no intention of becoming a demon lord," I countered, my words sharp as blades. "Your claims about Carrion's instigation are nonsense. Falmouth attacked Tempest out of their own greed. These incidents have no connection." I nodded to Noah, who produced his notebook with deliberate calm. He read aloud. "A confession from King Edmaris of Falmouth. They attacked Tempest to seize our inventions. The silk products from an eastern merchant sparked his interest. The tortures Akari and Noah had inflicted on those hostages flashed in my mind, harsh necessities that now bore fruit." The room's atmosphere grew heavier, the demon lords, auras pressing like invisible weights. Clayman sneered. "Even if those lies were true, that doesn't explain the Western Holy Church's movements. Admit it, you went too far in the human realm, drawing the knights and paladins." He spun the same tired narrative as Falmouth, monsters as aggressors, instigating war. But I was ready, my mind a fortress of facts. Majin Raisin and Archbishop Rahiam confessed that the alleged attack was a fabricated excuse to invade and summon the church's aid, Noah interjected smoothly. "Lies. Do you expect us to believe your story without evidence?" Clayman spat. "Speaking of evidence," I fired back, my voice dripping with irony, "where is yours, Clayman?" He was a hypocrite, demanding what he himself lacked. I could see rage igniting in his eyes, his judgment clouding just as planned. Wrath would be his undoing. "The deaths of Majoran and Perone are evidence enough," he roared. "So let's tackle that first, shall we?" I said, my tone turning predatory. Noah distributed crystal balls, Tempest-forged devices that hummed with stored magic. Pictures spoke louder than words, and I intended to make them scream. The first projection showed Noah killing Perone, her form crumpling under his assault. "So you just admit to it then?" Clayman crowed. "Moron," Noah shot back, his voice laced with contempt. I couldn't overlook a potential enemy. She was a Majin-like Raisin, so I assumed association with Falmouth. I slammed the table, the sound echoing like a war drum, drawing every eye. "The better question is this: what was your subordinate doing above a battlefield you supposedly had no stake in? The war wasn't announced. How did you know soon enough to send a spy? Isn't that suspicious?" Clayman faltered, speechless, his marble facade cracking. "But I pressed the attack, and Majoran is still alive." "No, that's impossible. You probably have some evil spirit possessing her corpse, you twisted monster." Clayman accused, desperation creeping in. "I know you killed her." "How did you know that exactly?" I asked, my voice a venomous whisper. "From the marionette heart you implanted in her, I suppose." Holding your subordinate's heart hostage is extreme for someone who claims to avenge them. I paused, letting the revelation sink in. "You might not know, but I replaced her marionette heart with an organic one. Her death never happened except in the mind of someone weaponizing it." Noah activated the crystals again, projecting videos of Majoran alive, erecting barriers, receiving rewards from me. The images flickered with undeniable clarity, exposing Clayman's lies. "These are fabricated lies made by magic," he accused wildly. "Don't believe this trickster, everyone." But I had one final bullet, loaded and aimed. The crystals shifted to footage of Yamza, Clayman's middle finger, screaming in agony, "Please don't do this, great Clayman." His body twisted into an incomplete Charybdis, a grotesque transformation that laid bare Clayman's cruelty. Clayman yearned so desperately to appear as a benevolent leader that shattering that illusion filled me with savage satisfaction. "This is what you call proof, Clayman," I said, my words a death knell. Such lowly tactics, he raged. This slime is a notorious bluffer and liar. He's just a weakling who let the storm dragon destroy Falmouth's army for him. We cannot let him join our ranks, it would humiliate us all. This isn't a bluff, I replied, my voice ice cold. Your army has been crushed. Next is you. He hadn't realized his slip yet, but Dagruel, ever attentive, did. Clayman, didn't you say Carrion and Riken defeated Falmouth's army? Noah piled on. You heard Sir Dagruel. If you're going to lie, at least make it consistent. Amusement danced in Guy's eyes as he intervened. Now. Since Veldora is here, why don't we ask him? Veldora rose, laughing boisterously, pointing at himself with pride. Yes, it's me who killed those humans. They trespassed on my land without permission. You see, Clayman, I taunted, my smirk widening. I always win. The provocation shattered his restraint. You lowest of lows. You're the lowly one, Clayman, I shot back, savoring his unraveling. Ah, he collapsed, clutching his head as my reversal of his unique skill assaulted him with excruciating pain. I'd felt his pathetic attempt to control me, and now he paid the price. Try to control me again, and this time I'll uproot that useless skill from your soul. The round table vanished, consumed by magic, leaving me in the center, surrounded by the demon lords, piercing stares. Such action is useless against me, but are you saying it's allowed? It's not, Guy declared. To keep things fair, we only allow words. He deemed the evidence sufficient and proposed a trial by combat, defeat Clayman, and his seat was mine. I was trying not to get my hands dirty, I said, feigning regret, but it seems unavoidable. A schemer drowns in his own schemes, what a mistake. Clayman rose, adjusting his bow tie with trembling hands. You're up, Milam. Shock rippled through the room as Milam stood, aligning with him. The betrayal stung, her earlier glare at Noah now making sinister sense. Using someone else to further your gain, I see, I said, disgust fueling my intensity. Fear not, I'll fight too, Clayman vowed. You'll die horribly, I swear. His attendants emerged. Ninehead, the orange fox, swelling to Ryuga's size. Ryuga burst from my shadows, ready to clash, his form a blur of feral power. Viola, the metallic golem in its black robe, loomed ominously. Noah's eyes locked on it, hunger for battle evident. Clayman was beneath us now, the real fight brewed. With a flick of Guy's fingers, the isolated battlefield barrier sealed us in, a dome of unyielding magic trapping entries and exits. Aren't you joining? Guy asked Veldora. I might, Veldora replied, his grin promising chaos. The air crackled with impending violence, my emotions a whirlwind of rage, anticipation, and unyielding resolve. This banquet had become a battlefield, and I would emerge victorious, no matter the cost. Third-person POV. In the sealed dimension of the Walpurgis banquet, where shadows clung to the edges of reality like forgotten secrets, the air thrummed with latent violence. Ryuga, the Tempest Wolf from Riken's command, faced off against Ninehead, Clayman's exotic pet, a mystic fox with fur that shimmered like liquid gold under the ethereal glow of the barrier. The creature's eyes gleamed with feral cunning, its three tails twitching in rhythmic menace, as if whispering ancient enigmas to the void. Without warning, two tails detached from the main body, morphing into grotesque parodies of life, a lithe monkey with claws that sparked with arcane energy and a rabbit whose hops distorted the space around it. These spawned mystic beasts pulsed with magicals equivalent to high-ranked Majins, their forms blurring the line between beast and nightmare. Ryuga's muscles coiled like springs of darkness, his growl a low rumble that echoed the growing storm. He lunged, claws raking through the air, but the monkey dodged with acrobatic grace, countering with a blast of ethereal fire that singed the ground. The rabbit bounded in, its eyes flashing with hypnotic light, forcing Ryuga to weave through illusions that clawed at his mind. Tension mounted as Ryuga's shadows extended, ensnaring the spawns in tendrils of void, but their resilience hinted at deeper, unseen sorceries, mysteries woven into their very essence by Clayman's hand. Meanwhile, Noah confronted Viola, Clayman's handcrafted marvel, a towering iron golem forged from magisteel, its form a grotesque homage to its creator. Tall and imposing, with four articulated arms that gleamed coldly in the dim light, it stood silent, an emotionless sentinel devoid of soul. Its surface etched with runes that pulsed faintly, like veins of trapped lightning, it evoked an aura of mechanical dread, as if it were a relic from a forgotten forge where machines dreamed of domination. A golem? You don't look that threatening, Noah chuckled, his voice laced with mocking confidence. Though a flicker of intrigue danced in his eyes, curiosity about the enigma before him. Viola remained mute, a weapon without will, puppeted remotely by Clayman's insidious control. Its upper arms wielded a sword that hummed with sharpened malice and a spear tipped in frost-kissed barbs, while the lower arms channeled spells with mechanical precision. Bolts of lightning strike arced through the air, crackling with electric fury, followed by barrages of ice snow that froze the ground into treacherous shards. Then came resonance, a wave of vibrating energy that warped reality, sending tremors through No's frame. Yet, for all its arsenal, Viola posed no true threat. Noah moved with effortless grace, his body a blur of calculated evasion, dodging each assault as if reading the threads of fate itself. A smirk played on his lips, masking the analytical storm in his mind, assessing, probing for weaknesses in this metallic riddle. With a swift, precise strike, he dismembered Viola segment by segment, limbs clattering to the ground like discarded puzzles. This golem is a boon of unique grade equipment, he thought, a glint of opportunistic greed in his eyes. Lord Riken would appreciate it. Even if we can't use it, we can still sell it. The dismemberment left an air of mystery hanging what hidden mechanisms lay within, waiting to be unraveled. What's wrong with those subordinates? Are they supposed to be that strong? Guy questioned, his voice a curious murmur laced with underlying suspicion, his crimson eyes narrowing as he shifted focus to what he deemed the main spectacle, the brewing clash between Veldora and Milam, a confrontation shrouded in enigmatic tensions. The barrier's hum intensified, the dimension feeling smaller, more claustrophobic, as if the very fabric of existence held its breath for the mysteries about to unfold. Riken's paw. As I channeled my power to shatter Clayman's demonic domination curse from Ninehead, the mystic fox's form convulsed, its eyes clearing from the haze of control like fog lifting from a cursed mirror. Relief washed over me, brief and sharp, but it was overshadowed by the chaotic symphony around us. Veldora and Milam clashed in earnest, their auras clashing like thunderheads, serious, unyielding, each blow resonating with the weight of ancient rivalries. Even deploying my ultimate skill Camael, Lord of Fortitude, to its utmost limits, pushing my senses to pierce the veils of deception, I couldn't discern the shadowy force puppeteering Milam. It was maddening, a mystery that gnawed at my core, fueling a tense frustration that coiled tighter with every elusive scan. Now, I turned my focus to Clayman, the architect of this farce. Our battle raged in the heart of the isolated battlefield, my strikes landing with calculated fury, each one chipping away at his smug veneer. He staggered, his white suit torn and stained, his eyes wild with desperation. I prepared the final blow, my slime form surging with triumphant malice, when suddenly a raging aura erupted, pure and malevolent, like a storm of distilled hatred crashing through the ether. It was so potent, so viscerally raw, that I froze for a heartbeat, my instincts screaming of an unknown peril. The next instant, Guy's barrier shattered like fragile glass, fragments scattering into the void, leaving the dimension exposed and vulnerable. Veldora and Milam disengaged instantly, the cessation of their fight abrupt and charged with unspoken warnings. Veldora landed beside me, his draconic presence a reassuring wall of storm energy, though his eyes held a glint of wary anticipation. "So, you finally show up," Veldora muttered, his voice low, laced with a mix of familiarity and tension that hinted at depths I couldn't yet fathom. "Who?" I began, but before the question could fully form, a figure materialized before me in a blur of incomprehensible speed. One moment, empty space, the next, him standing firm, clad in a long trench coat that draped below his knees, heavy fabric billowing like a shroud of secrets. His black hair whipped in the conjured winds, strands flowing like living shadows against the pale chaos swirling around us. He stared intently at Clayman, and in the blink of an eye, Clayman vanished, erased from existence, as if he'd never been. Even Camael faltered, unable to comprehend the mechanics of it, leaving me in a swirl of bewildered awe and creeping dread. Who was this enigma, wielding power that defied analysis? "Hey, brother, it seems like you don't plan to hide your appearance anymore," Veldora said, his tone casual yet edged with underlying strain. The figure turned, revealing deep golden eyes mirroring Veldora's own, his expression etched with grave seriousness. "I'm not in the mood to play, brother. He trailed off as Milam landed before us, her presence now tainted with an alien menace that sent chills through my form. "Oh, so you decide to show up," Milam said, but her voice carried a dissonant edge, not her usual playful lilt. "Who are you? Leave Milam's body now," the newcomer demanded, his face a mask of dead seriousness, laced with a threatening undercurrent that made the air thicken with suspense. "Is that a warning?" Milam asked, her tone mocking, yet laced with an unnatural echo. Yes, it is, he replied, and in that instant, he vanished, reappearing before her in a flicker of motion too swift for even my enhanced senses. His punch connected with brutal force, Milam blocking just in time, but the shockwave hurled her back several meters, cracking the ground and sending ripples of energy that distorted the air like heat haze. He is strong, I muttered, a mix of admiration and unease knotting in my core, the mystery of his identity amplifying the tension. Of course he is, Veldora replied, his voice steady but his posture rigid. By the way, who is he? I pressed, my mind racing through possibilities, each more enigmatic than the last. Fifth true dragon, Rimuru. My little brother, Veldora said, and my eyes widened in stunned revelation, a hidden sibling among the dragons, a figure shrouded in legend and secrecy. I don't give a damn about you. Who the hell are you? Give me back Milam, Rimuru snarled, his voice raw with angry desperation, golden eyes blazing with protective fury. How harsh that punch really hurt. I'm your big brother, don't you remember me? Milam retorted, transforming into her battle form, armor materializing like forged starlight, but the words rang hollow, infused with a deceptive cadence. Huh, Rimuru scoffed, his rage building like a gathering tempest. Don't joke around, I only have 2 brothers. How rude. I'm Veldanava to be specific, Velda, the entity possessing Milam declared, a sinister smile twisting her features. The atmosphere plummeted into supercharged tension, the name hanging like a forbidden curse. Veldora tensed beside me, his aura flaring with barely contained wrath. That bastard, he really crossed the line, calling himself Veldanava. It's an insult to our big brother. And on top of that, invoking his name in front of Rimuru is a grave mistake, Veldora muttered, his words dripping with ominous foreboding, hinting at buried histories and vendettas yet to be unveiled. Guy and the other demon lords approached cautiously, their presences adding layers of intrigue and peril to the scene. The air hummed with mystery. Who was this Velda? Rimuru and the possessed Milam began to trade blows, fists crossing in a blur of cataclysmic force, each clash unraveling more enigmas in a dance of rage and revelation. The dimension trembled, secrets poised to erupt like shadows from the abyss. Rimuru Pav. In the fractured dimension of the Walpurgis banquet, where the air itself seemed to fracture under the weight of unleashed auras, I caught a glimpse of Guy Crimson and the other demon lords converging on Veldora below. The ground trembled faintly, scarred by the earlier eruptions of power-deep craters like jagged scars across an ethereal landscape, where wisps of residual magic clung to the edges like lingering smoke from a dying fire. Shadows danced erratically in the ethereal light, twisting and reforming as if the dimension itself were alive and recoiling from the chaos. Guy's crimson eyes narrowed. I could sense his cold precision even from up here, his mind probably a whirlwind of calculations born from millennia of survival. Without a word, he extended his hand, weaving threads of primordial magic into a new barrier, a shimmering dome of iridescent energy that encapsulated me and the possessed Milam high above. It pulsed with unyielding strength, designed to contain our storm while allowing the observers below to witness the spectacle, its surface rippling like liquid starlight under strain. The barrier's hum was a low, ominous drone, amplifying the tension like a heartbeat echoing through the void, each pulse a reminder that one wrong move could unravel the fragile tapestry of this secluded realm. As soon as Guy and the others got close to Veldora, the barrier solidified, sealing us in an isolated arena where the laws of physics bent to the will of our power. Far above, where the dimensional sky warped into swirling vortices of storm clouds and starlit voids, I crossed fists with Milam or whatever the hell had hijacked her body in a ballet of destruction. Our forms blurred against the backdrop of crackling energies, the sounds of our clashes muffled by the barrier roars and thunderous booms that sent vibrations through it, like distant echoes of a cosmic war. I could feel Guy's gaze locked on us from below, his usual detached demeanor cracking under what I sensed as a mix of fascination and foreboding. This was no mere squabble among lords, but a confrontation that reeked of ancient grudges and hidden powers, pulling at the threads of reality itself. I was fighting with Milam, or rather, with this enigmatic force that had taken her over. Our fists clashed in the middle, creating sound waves that reverberated like steel against steel, each impact birthing shockwaves that rippled outward like sonic tsunamis, distorting the air and sending gusts of pressurized wind slamming against the barrier. The atmosphere ignited with friction, sparks of raw magic scattering like dying embers, illuminating us in flashes of ethereal light. We were evenly matched in raw power, titans locked in a serious, unrelenting struggle where every blow carried the potential to shatter worlds, the sheer force of our exchanges causing micro tears in the dimensional fabric, from which wisps of void energy leaked like blood from invisible wounds. My golden eyes burned with an intimidating fire, my trench coat whipping like a banner of authority, exuding a presence that made the very atmosphere bow to my will, my every movement a testament to unyielding resolve. Milam's possessed form, twisted by the unknown influence, radiated a malevolent glee, her battle armor gleaming with draconic scales that shifted hues from azure to blood red, her eyes glowing with an unnatural crimson that hinted at something far older and more sinister than the playful destroyer I knew. "This is fun, isn't it?" The entity taunted through Milam's lips, her voice a distorted echo laced with sadistic amusement as she unleashed a flurry of strikes, a hybrid fighting style blending draconic claw swipes with precise martial arts katas, each infused with stardust enhancement, to amplify speed and force, the air whistling as her talons cut through it like razors through silk. "Don't you just love these moments of raw, unbridled chaos?" The words carried a chilling familiarity, as if spoken by a being that had witnessed the birth of stars and the fall of gods, but its identity remained shrouded, a puzzle wrapped in enigma. I groaned in annoyance, my face a mask of steely resolve, but my mind raced with intricate calculations. I was also focusing on deciphering the invisible barrier cloaking Milam's core, my ultimate partner Mana's seal working in tandem with my senses, analyzing layers of arcane energy that felt unnaturally divine, like echoes of a creator's touch twisted into something profane. Yet I didn't falter. Instead, I countered with authoritative precision, parrying her assault with a seamless fusion of hand-to-hand combat and spatial manipulation. "I don't give a damn about your twisted games," I snarled, my voice booming like thunder, intimidating and unyielding, carrying the weight of someone who had stared into the abyss at the end of time. "Give me back my little girl now." With a surge of void energy, I activated spatial dominion, warping the space around my fist to create a localized gravity well, pulling Milam off balance before slamming a palm strike enhanced by turn null particles into her guard. The impact sent her reeling, cracks spider webbing through the air as reality itself protested, the force generating a shockwave that rattled the barrier and sent a cascade of ethereal debris raining down like shattered glass. The entity, puppeteering Milam's body, hovered steady, her adorable features in true form, twisted into a mocking pout that only fueled my protective rage, a deep, intricate emotion churning like a storm within me, blending paternal fury with the cold authority of a true dragon. I knew this force exploited Milam as my weakness, and it ignited a determination to dismantle it piece by piece. Whatever took control of her, it knew that Milam was my weakness, which it didn't hesitate to exploit, its taunts laced with a knowledge that suggested it was no mere demon, but something born from the remnants of divine catastrophe. The entity murmured, Milam's eyes narrowing almost discontentedly. "You hesitated. What?" I shot back, my tone laced with dangerous calm, my golden eyes piercing through the distortion, searching for clues to the intruder's true nature. "You hold back," the entity said. "Why did you hold back?" Her voice expressed the feeling of being offended, a note of personal betrayal slipping in, as if this being had expected more from a kindred spirit. "I held back because I didn't want to harm Milam. I was only buying time as Seal worked her magic." But that action offended the entity. This wasn't what it wanted. This Walpurgis banquet was planned to be its ultimate rebirth, its ceremonial return, a hint that this possessor was no random force, but one with ambitions tied to ancient rituals and forgotten glories. If it only wanted to meet me, it could have come to me. But it didn't. No, the entity desired glory and recognition, having its step to perfection witnessed by demon lords was its plan. But if I played safe like this, there would be no challenge, no stake, and no glory to be found. That was unacceptable. "Take me seriously, damn it!" the entity roared, lunging with draconic fury, a skill that summoned ethereal dragon claws from her aura, slashing in a whirlwind pattern while channeling elemental barrage, bolts of fire, ice, and lightning spiraling around her like a tempest, the elements twisting with an unnatural precision that suggested a mind versed in creation itself. "Why hold back?" the entity demanded, her strikes growing more frantic, infused with resonance wave, to amplify vibrations that could shatter bones, the air humming with destructive frequency. This wasn't the glorious rebirth it craved. The Walpurgis was meant to be its ceremonial ascension, witnessed by demon lords, a path to perfection. But my intervention robbed it. "How?" I retorted, my voice a low, authoritative growl that sent shivers through the observers below. I countered with void infusion, channeling primordial nothingness into my fists, turning a simple punch into a reality-eroding strike that forced the entity to block with stardust shield, a barrier of cosmic particles that shimmered like a nebula but cracked under the pressure, revealing a flicker of frustration in Milam's possessed eyes. "Oh, I might enjoy this more than I should," the entity sneered, switching to an aerial combat style, soaring with draconic wings, unfurled, raining down, meteor swarm, fiery orbs enhanced by void particles for explosive penetration, the meteors trailing tails of distorted space that hinted at the entity's affinity for void manipulation, perhaps inherited from a greater source. Good for you, I replied, my taunt cutting like a blade, eyes flashing with intimidating dominance. Because I don't. Get lost before I erase you from existence. I activated Azathoth, god of void, summoning a swirling vortex of black and purple energy that devoured the meteors mid-flight, the skill's epic scale warping the sky into a maelstrom of nothingness. The tension escalated, the air thickening with ozone and malice as I pressed forward, my presence authoritative, every move a declaration of supremacy, forcing the entity to reveal more of its hand, its use of stardust and void suggesting a connection to Veldanova's legacy. Is that so? I think we're compatible, the entity taunted, its words gross and ill-phrased through Milam's form, aiming to provoke. I'm so excited to share this moment with you. Firstly, gross. Using Milam's face to say something so ill-phrased just made my stomach churn in disgust. And the entity knew it would elicit that kind of reaction from me. It wanted to upset me, anger me to the point that I overlooked Milam's safety altogether and fought with all I had. My stomach churned in disgust, but my facade remained unbroken, my golden eyes narrowing with lethal intent. I have a standard, and it isn't a weirdo who possesses a young girl like some pathetic parasite. I retaliated with a combo. Storm Dragon's Roar, a sonic blast infused with wind magic to disorient, followed by Black Flame Prison, encircling the entity in void-tainted flames that burned not just flesh but magicules themselves, the flames licking at Milam's form and forcing the possessor to expend energy it couldn't afford to lose. The entity laughed, offended yet thrilled, countering with Ahura Mazda, summoning god-grade illusions, phantom dragons that mimicked true forms, each attacking with elemental breaths of fire, poison, and plasma. If your partner was that human, name Chloe, then the bar isn't that high. Still trying to get an extreme emotion out of me, the entity attacked my wife directly. To be frank, the jab struck at my core, igniting a flare of protective anger, but I channeled it into authority. Hey, you're just jealous I got someone that loved me without stealing someone else's body, I said. I hated this conversation. I wanted to punch whoever used my niece's face to defame my wife, but no matter what, I would not harm Milam's body in any shape or form. I only entertained this banter because it was the most logical thing to do. It bought Seal enough time without me having to fight directly. Seal, just how long will it take? This starts to get on my nerves. Less than I would need 7 more minutes. You're doing great, Master. Please don't fall for its tricks. Greater than. With Milam still in the same place, focusing on antagonizing me, Seal could do her work easier and faster, peeling the layers of invisible barrier, piece by piece. Seal then began to analyze it with all the brain power she had. Just only 7 more minutes. Don't you think you are too quick to judge? You haven't seen my real form yet, the entity smirked. It was the only one who somewhat enjoyed this, its tone carrying a promise of revelation, as if its true shape was something cosmic and terrifying. It continued, come on, she isn't even your child. She's Veldanova's. Why should you care about her? I remained calm, thinking this was just another one of its many tricks. But the entity's words were more truthful than I first thought. We were cut from the same cloth, shards from the same broken vase, it said. If Veldanova is the ship of Theseus, we are its planks. My hands curled into fists, gritting my teeth as I listened. I didn't like the implications of those words, but this wasn't time to get emotional. I had to help Milam. The metaphor struck deep, suggesting the entity was a fragment of Veldanova himself, a splintered piece claiming brotherhood. Just because you're a deadbeat, doesn't mean I should be one as well. I said. You're such a tough nut to crack, the entity said. The entity's first mistake was thinking that this conversation was worth much more than just a way for me to buy more time for Seal. I did listen, but my perception of the entity would never change. It would always be an enemy. In a blink of an eye, the entity struck. Its fist, imbued with immense stardust particles, aimed at me. Seal might be able to detect it, but not soon enough for me to dodge. She did the second best thing she could. Ranged barrier, multi-layer barrier, multidimensional barrier, and Covenant King's absolute defense were simultaneously deployed. Yet the fist seemed unstoppable as it went through the defenses layer by layer, and hit me directly. I was reminded of how physical pain felt. It sent me far back to the point that I was slammed into Guy's new barrier, the impact jarring my senses, pain exploding like stars in my vision. The hell, why is she so fast? Why does it hurt so much? Seal soon reported that not only was the punch imbued with stardusts, but void particles were also used to enhance the strength and speed as well. As if Milam needed more of that in the first place. The use of void particles was another clue the entity wielded powers akin to my own, suggesting a shared origin from Veldanova's void-touched legacy. It didn't end there. A ray of blue light extended from Milam's hand. It was Milam's infamous Drago Nova. No matter how strong I was, I knew that tanking Drago Nova wouldn't end well for me. You couldn't outrun it. It was usually as fast as light, but because of the boost, this particular Drago Nova was faster than light speed. I definitely couldn't take it head on either. I was strong, but Stardust rewrote everything on the fundamental level. It would penetrate any and every defense I put in its path too. To counter a force that rewrote laws, I had to use my own. Oh man, this is such a pain. But well, Azathoth, a void black and purple vortex appeared in front of me, devouring Milam's enhanced Drago Nova instantly, the absorption creating a momentary vacuum that pulled at the barrier's edges, testing its limits. Third-person Pav. Dino, usually languid, stirred from his apathy, his voice cutting through the hum. She's gotten stronger, hasn't she? That's a bad omen, Guy. Damn right it is, Guy replied, his tone clipped, eyes locked on the aerial clash. The use of primordial energy stardust and void was a blasphemy only Veldanova should wield. Its presence now, in this age, was a sinister portent, a hallmark of a false god, a twisted spawn of the Star King Dragon's fragmented essence. Veldanova's demise was a cosmic whale fall, his death spawning an ecosystem of malevolence. Evil dragons like the Chaos Dragon and the World-Destroying Dragon had risen from his shattered legacy, and now this entity Velda, a false Veldanova mirrored their powers, its very existence a mockery of divine creation. Shouldn't you step in, Guy? Dagruel's gravelly voice rumbled, concern etching his stoic features. Guy's lips twitched, a flicker of annoyance. When it's time, I will. He's handling it for now. Let's see how far the kid can push. You're too relaxed, Dagruel warned, his tone heavy with goodwill. Relax. I'd rather brawl with Rudra 1,000 times than listen to that thing's nonsense, Guy muttered, shoving aside the creeping unease before it could fester. His gaze remained fixed on the sky, where the true spectacle unfolded. High above, Velda now unmasked in Rimuru's mind as the imposter god materialized before him with a dimensional leap, its fist descending with stardust acceleration, a blur of speed that outstripped perception. The punch, laced with void-tainted stardust, struck with apocalyptic force, hurling Rimuru downward. He crashed into the ground, the impact birthing a crater in a plume of dust, the shockwave rattling the barrier. Yet he rose, dust sloughing off his trench coat, his golden eyes blazing with a playful, arrogant glint that masked a storm of protective fury. What, that's your big move? He taunted, his voice dripping with nonchalance, though his heart thundered with responsibility for Milam. Gotta say, I expected more from a so-called god. Velda, puppeteering Milam's form, sneered through her lips, her crimson eyes alight with malevolent glee. Still holding back, Rimuru. Pathetic. It charged a second Drago Nova, a beam of blue stardust energy swelling like a star's wrath, its radiance threatening to sear the dimension itself. Rimuru's physical strength matched Milam's, but the circumstances were a knife's edge. Seal, how much longer? He thought, his exterior calm belying the urgency within. Less than 3 minutes, 30 seconds, master. Greater than. From the rubble, Rimuru stood, his silhouette framed against the charging Drago Nova, its light casting stark shadows across his defiant grin. Below, Ramirez's voice pierced the barrier's hum. Rimuru, need a hand up there. Veldora's draconic eyes flickered with concern, a rare crack in his bravado. You're looking rough, brother. Rimuru's laugh was sharp, playful, almost reckless. Me, need help. Come on, Veldora, you know me better than that. His grip tightened, void energy coiling in his palm like a living storm. I just need to stop slacking. Watch this. His tone was arrogant, but beneath it, a deep resolve burned to save Milam, to end this farce without harming her. He raised his hand, void energy surging. He channeled void energy into his palm, the air warping with primordial nothingness. Behold the upgraded, purple void, I dub it, Nihilum. Pure, voidish black, the essence of primordial nothingness. The power surged, shattering Guy's barrier in a deafening crack, but Seal seamlessly rebuilt it, the strain palpable as energies clashed like titans. Velda's eyes gleamed through Milam's face, a twisted smile spreading. Finally getting serious. Good, let's end this game, Drago Nova. The beam, a world-killing lance of blue stardust, tore through the air at light speed, its brilliance blinding, its intent absolute. Rimuru met it with a smirk, his Nihilum surging forth. The attacks collided in a cataclysmic explosion, void devouring stardust in a dance of annihilation. Shockwaves fractured the dimension, sending tremors that forced the demon lords below to brace themselves, their faces taut with awe and dread. "Is that it?" Rimuru shouted, his voice laced with playful mockery, though his heart raced with the stakes. "Kinda underwhelming for a god, don't you think?" It was a reckless taunt, born of emotion, and he knew it. His arrogance was a mask, hiding the desperate need to keep Milam safe while Seal worked. Velda's expression darkened, offended. Instead of another Drago Nova, it summoned a rain of god-grade swords via Ahura Mazda, each blade humming with divine energy, a testament to its false godhood. They sliced through the air, aimed at Rimuru's core. He countered with mirror reflection, spatial mirrors deflecting most, but a few pierced his chest and arm, pain searing like molten fire. "Ah, my big mouth's gonna kill me one day," he muttered, yanking them out. His wounds healed instantly, magicil surging like an endless tide, but the pain lingered as a reminder of the stakes. Velda closed the distance, Milam's form wielding a sword Asura, radiating malevolent power. "No need to rush, Rimuru," it taunted, voice dripping with sadistic glee. "Let's savor this." Rimuru's own blade, Nemesis, met Asura in a clash that sparked void and stardust. "Savor it? Nah, I'm just warming up," he quipped, his tone light, but his eyes burned with protective fury. His strength and speed now matched Velda's, his playful exterior a deliberate goad to keep the entity distracted. Their swords danced, sparks illuminating the warped sky. Red chains erupted from Asura, binding Rimuru via binding dominion. Velda smirked. "How's it feel to be trapped?" Rimuru's grin didn't waver, though his mind raced with responsibility. "Been in tighter spots," he said, feeding, turn null, energy into the chains. They overloaded and shattered, giving him just enough time to parry another strike. "You're gonna have to try harder than that." Velda's taunts grew sharper. "You need a better woman, Rimuru. That Chloe, hardly worthy of a dragon." Rimuru's laugh was cold, arrogant. "Jealousy's a bad look on you, Velda. Chloe loves me without stealing bodies. Unlike some parasites." His words were a blade, cutting deep, but inside, his protective instincts roared Milam was his family, and he'd tear reality apart to save her. Velda, sensing Rimuru's true power, pressed the assault, its desperation palpable. It wanted this fight to end swiftly, to claim its glory. Rimuru, however, played defensive, buying every second for Seal. "I'm not losing her. Not now, not ever." Asterisk. Less than completed. The invisible barrier of stardust particles is deactivated. Greater than. Finally, Rimuru's heart leapt, though his face stayed cocky. His hand shot out, seizing Velda's wrist, Milam's wrist in a grip like iron. "Got you, you bastard." Velda's confusion morphed into realization, a twisted laugh escaping Milam's lips. "Oh, you sly fox," it purred, almost flirtatiously, then cackled with manic glee. "You played me." Rimuru knew battering Milam's body was pointless. The corruption was rooted deep within, a parasite feeding on her soul. With the invisible barrier down, Seal could infiltrate and purge the rot. Velda knew it too, cornered in a two-front war it couldn't win. "It was a good game, Rimuru," it sneered, Milam's crimson eyes glinting with malice. "Bold of you to face me here, leaving your precious domain unguarded. You've seen this trick before, haven't you?" A parting gift stampede. As Velda surrendered control, Milam's body convulsed, transforming into something primal, monstrous. Blood-red scales erupted across her arms and legs, glinting like molten rubies under the warped sky. Her hands sprouted claws, dripping with an unnatural crimson glow that seemed to pulse with wrathful intent. A massive, serpentine tail lashed behind her, crackling with raw magicils, each movement sending tremors through the dimension. Her growl was a guttural snarl, devoid of Milam's spirit or Velda's cunning, only pure, unbridled wrath and instinct remained, a berserk dragonoid fueled by an endless well of stardust and void particles. The air grew heavy, suffocating, as her aura surged like a tidal wave, threatening to rend the very fabric of the realm. "Seal, please, hurry," Rimuru thought, his playful exterior a fragile veneer over a heart clenched with responsibility. Outwardly, he flashed a cocky grin, his golden eyes glinting with arrogant defiance. "What, this is your big finale? Gotta say, I'm underwhelmed." But inside, a fierce protectiveness for Milam drove every calculated move, his cunning mind weaving a delicate balance of distraction and defense. He wouldn't let her become a pawn in this cosmic farce, not now, not ever. Beyond the isolated barrier, the demon lords were a cauldron of roiling emotions. Rimuru's sudden arrival had stunned them, his summoning of Nemesis, the Sword of Annihilation, its name a chilling testament to its power, had sparked confusion. Now, Milam's stampede form elicited visceral dread from the ancient lords. Guy, Dagruel, and Dino exchanged taut glances, their faces etched with memories of her last rampage, a catastrophe that had reshaped continents. The newer demon lords Frey, Carrion, Leon stood in blissful ignorance, unaware of the apocalyptic force before them. At least it's not my kingdom getting obliterated this time, Dagruel muttered, a rare sigh of relief escaping his stoic frame. Nods rippled through the group, even from Frey, whose worry for Milam was a quiet storm, and Leon, who scoffed at the chaos as a tiresome distraction. Fine, we agree someone's gotta stop her, Guy said, his voice sharp as he scanned the group. Who's with me? Dagruel, Guy prompted. Hard pass, Dagruel grunted, folding his massive arms. Dino, don't drag me into a suicide mission, Dino snapped, his laziness a thin veil over genuine fear. Ramirez, Guy turned to the elemental queen, who'd once helped to tame Milam's wrath. Ramirez shook her head frantically, her tiny form trembling. I just got my powers back. I'm not losing them again this soon. Can't Rimuru just fix you up like last time? Guy pressed, his patience fraying. The second time wouldn't feel as special. She whined, her voice shrill. What kind of idiotic logic is that? Guy groaned, rubbing his temples. Surrounded by fools. Always. Guy, fix this. Guy, save us. It's my damn job, but still. Asterisk. Rest assured, Guy, Diablo interjected, his voice smooth as velvet, brimming with unshakable confidence. Lord Rimuru has this under control. Interference would be an insult to his strength. Guy's eyes narrowed, skeptical but intrigued. Fine, Rimuru, let's see what you're made of. Surprisingly, a berserk Milam was easier to handle than Velda's calculated malice. Rimuru danced through her frenzied attacks, her movements driven by raw instinct, predictable in their ferocity. He dodged with effortless grace, his playful taunts, come on, Milam, you're making this too easy, masking the razor-sharp focus within, every move a cunning ploy to keep her attention while Seal worked. Inside Milam's soul, within her hard core, Seal navigated a surreal landscape that mirrored imaginary space yet pulsed with divine echoes, its boundaries shimmering with the remnants of creation itself. Velda stood before her, his form a grotesque parody of beauty, neck-length blue hair shimmering in myriad shades, clad in black silk that radiated opulence like a king's ransom, dragon's loyal dog, he sneered, his voice dripping with venomous disdain. This is my domain, you're nothing without your precious master. Let's see how you fare against a god. Ciel's expression was a mask of cold, unyielding intellect, her presence a blade honed to perfection. Velda thrust his hand forward, expecting a rain of god-grade swords via Ahura Mazda, but the air remained still. His eyes widened, a flicker of panic breaking his facade. What? Your fate was sealed the moment I tore down your stardust barrier, Ciel said, her voice a chilling blend of logic and menace, each word a scalpel slicing through his arrogance. Without that defense, Velda's creation king was a house of cards against her analytical prowess. She closed the distance in a heartbeat, her knee slamming into his stomach with surgical precision. He crumpled, gasping, his beauty marred by pain and desperation. How? Without Milam's power, you're a shadow pretending to be a god, Ciel said, her tone icy, unrelenting. Using the stolen Ahura Mazda, she conjured a god-grade sword, its blade grazing Velda's neck, drawing a thin line of ethereal blood that shimmered like liquid starlight. You thought you could outmaneuver me? Pathetic. Velda's eyes darted, fear warring with defiance. You can't destroy me. I am Velda, born of Veldanova's essence. Ciel tilted her head, her gaze piercing, a predator toying with prey. Born of his essence, you're a parasite, leeching off his legacy. A counterfeit god, nothing more. Her voice dropped, laced with a dangerous edge. Tell me, Velda, why cling to Milam? Why not face me in your true form? Oh, wait, she leaned closer, the sword's edge pressing just enough to sting. You don't have one, do you? Just a sad little fragment, skulking in the shadows of a real dragon. Velda's composure cracked, his voice rising in a mix of rage and desperation. You dare mock me? I am the heir to creation. I'll reshape this world, and you'll beg for mercy. Ciel's laugh was cold, cutting, a sound that echoed like shattering glass. Reshape the world. With what? Stolen power and a borrowed body. You're a thief, Velda, and a poor one at that. I've seen better schemes from lesser demons. She twirled the sword, its blade humming with stolen divine energy. You know what I think. You're scared. Scared of fading into nothingness, scared of being forgotten. That's why you hide behind Milam, isn't it? You're too weak to stand alone. Velda's face twisted, his voice a snarl. You know nothing. I am eternal. I'll outlast you, your master, all of you. Ciel's eyes narrowed, her tone dropping to a deadly whisper. Eternal. You're a flicker, a glitch in the cosmos. And I'm about to delete you. She raised the sword, its edge glinting with intent, but paused, her gaze boring into him. One last chance, Velda. Tell me where your true self hides. Where's the real you, the one pulling these strings? Or do I have to carve it out of you? Velda's laugh was desperate, defiant, a cornered animal baring its teeth. You think you've won. You're blind, Ciel. I'm a clone, a mere shadow of my true self, half my power, half my glory. The real me is coming, with a vessel to match my might. You've delayed the inevitable, nothing more. Your precious master, his domain, his allies, they'll all fall when I return. With a final, manic cackle, he vanished, his form dissolving into motes of stardust, leaving Ciel alone in the hard core, her victory tinged with unease. In the outside world, Milam's berserk form froze mid-attack, her transformation collapsing in an instant. Scales receded, claws retracted, and her body went limp, plummeting toward the scarred earth. Rimuru caught her gently, cradling her like a princess, his playful facade softening into a tender, protective gaze. She's safe. That's all that matters, asterisk he thought, his heart swelling with relief, though his cunning mind already turned to Velda's warning. Less than the threat is eliminated. Greater than Ciel's voice echoed in his mind, heavy with defeat. Less than but he escaped, master. A clone, not the true Velda. I'm sorry. Greater than, not your fault, Ciel, asterisk Rimuru thought, his inner resolve unshaken despite the arrogant grin he wore. We saved Milam, that's the win we needed. He'll crawl back, and we'll be ready. His golden eyes flicked to the demon lords below, his playful exterior returning as he called out, what, no applause. I just saved the day, you know. Less than yes, master. But his words, a stronger vessel, a greater threat. We must prepare. Greater than, let him come, asterisk Rimuru thought, his grin sharpening, a cunning edge beneath the nonchalance. Next time, I'll rip him apart myself. Asterisk. The demon lords below stood in stunned silence, the tension dissipating like a storm's aftermath. Guy's eyes softened, a rare flicker of respect crossing his features. Rimuru's playful arrogance had masked a serious, responsible core, one that had saved Milam and defied a false god. But Velda's parting words hung like a guillotine, a dark promise of a greater battle looming, its shadow stretching across the fractured dimension like a noose tightening around fate itself. Third-person POV. Deep within the mist-shrouded depths of Ravenwood Forest, where ancient trees twisted like the roots of the world tree itself, piercing the canopy with gnarled branches that whispered forgotten curses, a lone figure carved a path of carnage through hordes of snarling cryptids. These shadowy beasts twisted amalgamations of fang and fur, their eyes glowing with malevolent hunger lunged from the underbrush, but they were no match for the predator in their midst. The figure moved with inhuman grace and brutality, his form a towering silhouette of midnight black exoskeleton that gleamed like polished obsidian under the dappled moonlight filtering through the leaves. His body was a chimeric fusion of insectoid armor and humanoid menace. Broad, segmented plates covered his torso and limbs, etched with faint, glowing veins that pulsed with an eerie blue luminescence, as if infused with the essence of ancient shadows. His head was crowned by a helmet-like carapace, complete with jagged mandibles framing a maw of razor-sharp teeth, and compound eyes that burned with a cold, violet fire, scanning the chaos with predatory precision. Massive, chitinous wings folded against his back, ready to unfurl for swift aerial strikes, while his arms ended in elongated, blade-like claws sharp as obsidian scalpels, dripping with the viscous ichor of his fallen foes. With each swipe, he eviscerated the cryptids, his claws slicing through flesh and bone like scythes through wheat, leaving trails of severed limbs and guttural howls in his wake. The air reeked of blood and ozone, the ground slick with the remnants of his slaughter. Then, as the last cryptid fell twitching at his feet, he threw back his armored head and unleashed a primal roar, a A deafening bellow that echoed through the forest like thunder, shaking leaves from the trees and sending flocks of nocturnal creatures fleeing into the night, a declaration of unchallenged dominance in this forsaken wilderness. To be continued.